Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Crodel here at Valencell. Thanks for joining us for the webinar today. We're going to get started in another minute or so. Looks like we've still got a fair number of people entering the webinar and logging in as we speak. So we will let them continue that process, get logged in, and we'll get going here in another minute or so. Thanks for your patience. All right. Well, thanks everyone for your patience. We'll go ahead and get started here. Once again, my name is Ryan Crodel at Valencell. We are happy to have here with us Dr. Stephen LeBoeuf, co-founder and president of Valencell, and I will let him take over the presentation here in just a moment. But a few housekeeping items before we jump in. One question we always get is, will the slides be made available, and is this being recorded? The answer to both of those is yes. We are recording this and we post this to our YouTube channel. And so we will do that with this one, of course. And then we also make the slides available on SlideShare if you're interested in those specifically. So we encourage you to share this with any of your colleagues or anyone else who you think might be interested that wasn't able to join us here live today. But we will send out the links to both the recording and the slides usually within 24 hours after the webinar. So look out for those and please share them freely. So without further ado, as you noted, the topic here is looking at the predictions for 2019, but also looking back at a year in review, if you will, for 2018. We made some predictions in December of 2017 about 2018. Most people forget those predictions or don't want to look back on them because they were so bad. But I think we're open and transparent enough to see what we got right.
Basically, we have no shame.
Yeah, well, there you go. So we will look back at how right or how wrong we were in the predictions for 2018, and then do some new predictions for 2019. So without further ado, I will hand over to Dr. LeBoeuf. Oh, and one other housekeeping item, I should say, apologies. If you do have questions, please do submit them through the GoToWebinar control panel. I'll be monitoring those as we go along, and I will jump in and ask those questions to Dr. LeBoeuf as they come up. We've also got time built in at the end for more Q&A, but please do submit them whenever you think of them, and we'll bring those up right away. So now, without further ado, Dr. LeBoeuf.
All right. Thanks for y'all's time. So as you know, we like to make predictions every year and like them to be timely. We don't want you to be waiting till the year 25 just to find out what the future is going to be. So we take this risk every year to predict what's going to happen in wearables in that year, and then also go back and see how well we did. And perhaps the theme of this presentation will be, I was in the right place, but I must have been the wrong time, because we were right about a lot of things, but in some cases the timing may be a bit off. So let's talk about the agenda and where we're headed. First, we're going to go through the 2018 year in review. So what it is that we predicted and what actually happened. Then we'll go through our predictions for 2019, what to expect, and then key takeaways, and then open it up for Q&A. So let's look at 2018 year in review. So one of our predictions was that consumer wearables and medical devices they'll officially converge, and that a medical device company will buy a major wearable company, or a major wearable company will buy a healthcare company, or maybe both. We predicted that in 2018. I gotta say, our prediction is a little bit mixed. Probably the closest thing to this having happened was when Fitbit bought Twine Health. Some of y'all may be familiar with Twine. Twine is a digital health company that focused on digital health solutions for those managing chronic disease. Fitbit acquired this company to integrate that platform with their wearable platform. And they have been in the process of integrating that and providing solutions on that front. Now, some other things that are on that line, but not exactly really, you would say, an acquisition in any way, is that Apple, they basically acquired a bunch of clinicians and clinical resources, and now have been building their own clinic to focus on healthcare user experience. And this clinic is being used by Apple for Apple employees right now. It's yet to be known whether this will expand beyond that or be used by Apple for future products with Apple, say using the Apple Watch or other products. But that investment isn't necessarily an acquisition, but it's on the lines of this convergence of consumer wearables and medical. Garmin and Actigraph partnered up for clinical research monitoring. In this case, I don't know if you know Actigraph, but Actigraph has been around for quite some time. They provide the clinical research space with wearable devices for monitoring clinical studies. And a lot of their customers are clinical researchers that might be executing on grants, or might be trying to, say, for example, prove a certain therapy or drug or medication is working. And Garmin now has offered their hardware as part of this Actigraph platform, which makes it straightforward to do clinical research monitoring. So now you can use a Garmin device and the Actigraph platform to execute a clinical study. And another thing here noted in Forbes is that the Apple Watch is now essentially a Class 2 medical device. And so there's definitely convergence here, about as clear of convergence as you could possibly see, where one of the industry leaders in wearable devices has literally made an FDA approved device. All right. So in another prediction we made is that viable cuffless blood pressure products will launch for the first time in 2018. Well, we were wrong on the timing for that. It's actually going to be 2019. Not everything worked out exactly as we had planned on that front, but we will be launching. Valencell is the company that will be launching this with Sunny and our partner in 2019. It'll be launched first in hearing aid based devices, but also we believe will be launched at the same time in mobile phone devices as well. And the reasons for this not being available in the marketplace today is simply just a matter of timing. We needed to work some things out with our new relationship with Sunny in order to get this to where it could actually be a product in the marketplace. So we do believe, even though it didn't happen in 2018, 2019 will be the year for it. Hopefully I'm not here in 2019 saying it's going to be 2020. Another prediction we made here is that the ear will be a primary location for innovation in wearables, and we were definitely dead on right about that. There are numerous stories. We put a few here in this presentation. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Bose Sleep Buds, but it's a product. Bose acquired a small company, and took their technology for these sleep quality type of earbuds that you can wear comfortably during sleep, and then also provide audio therapy in sleep supportive audio through these devices. Bose took that, added this special sauce on top of it, and now has these sleep buds. And it's a brand new territory. Before this product, I'm just not aware of a product quite like this, where it's an earbud that you can actually wear while you sleep, and then also provide this kind of therapeutic sound to help you go to sleep. And you can see, I mean, that's Bose's first product in this space, but the it really opens up a whole new category, frankly. And you can only imagine. I mean, there has to be a future of biometrics in those types of sleep buds. One of the biggest challenges, by the way, with these types of solutions, these sleep buds, isn't the biometrics. It's making it comfortable to wear the different ways that people like to sleep. It's a big difference between sleeping on your back, on your side, or with pillows on top of and below your head. In order for these to be comfortable, there's a lot of factors that have to go into it. And I have tried these before myself, and they're comfortable for me, but they're not comfortable for everybody. And so I'm sure there's more work that's going to be done on making those universal. Then another big announcement in 2018 that supports what we predicted is Valencell and Sonian in our relationship. That definitely set some ripples in the marketplace because we're the leaders in ear biometrics, and Sonian is the leader in hearing aid components. And so you combine that peanut butter and chocolate together, and you can really do some amazing things where you could take this very sophisticated medical grade biometric sensor technology and integrate it in an incredibly super small form factor. I mean, you should see what these prototypes look now for this product launching in 2019. It is incredibly small, but that's in large part due to the expertise our partners have in Sonian for miniaturization. Another story to talk about here is from the Business Insider. Google and Amazon, it looks like, are working on their answer to Apple's AirPods. And I mean, Business Insider, obviously they have more inside knowledge than most groups, but I got to say, looking as an outsider and being part of this marketplace and looking at it as an outsider to those who are developing these things, I mean, this has to be going on because the success of the Apple AirPods, as terrible and horrific as they look, has to encourage the rest of the marketplace to catch up and to make solutions that are actually not painful to look at and still perform as well as those devices do. And then another story here out of Engadget, Starkey. This is a big deal. The first sensor-laden, to the best of my knowledge, the first sensor-laden hearing aids in the marketplace, certainly in any scale whatsoever, is the Starkey Livio AI hearing aid, which doubles as a fitness tracker. Basically, it's got an accelerometer in it, and it uses that accelerometer for a variety of contexts and helps with various different assessments, including fitness assessments. And so even though this isn't a biometric sensor per se, it's an inertial sensor, it's still being used for fitness, and you can only imagine that future generations of products will incorporate biometric sensors as well. So this has been this has been by far, in my entire existence in the ear biometric space, starting in 2006, the biggest year for biometric earpieces. and also earpieces with new technology in general, even if it's not biometrics. Another prediction in 2018 we said is that every major headphone company will launch a true wireless earbud product in 2018. And that's pretty much about true. In 2017, the leaders there were Jabra and Bragi, who launched products first in that category. AirPods eventually came, Samsung came, AirPods came. But in 2018, Bose launched a true wireless product. Sennheiser, Plantronics had just announced one not too long ago. Skullcandy, Sony, Bang & Olufsen. Nokia just announced one a day or so ago. Jaybird and Harman. And this is just a list. I mean, I think that you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows when it comes to Bluetooth headsets. This true wireless technology is here to stay, and it's going to continue to proliferate. And by 2019, anybody who's held out before, they're going to join in. I mean, just some smaller names that come to my mind that launched also true wireless. Onkyo, they launched a true wireless earbud, and several others. So this is it's a big trend. So that's how we did in 2018. Not too bad. I mean, I'd rather have that same capability of prediction for the lottery and some other cool stuff, but I'll take it for the market I'm in. For 2019 predictions, taking a look ahead. First thing is in the regulatory environment. You know, I got to say, I've been on many, many panels in the wearable space, and every time someone brings up regulatory approval, I go, oh God, this is going to be a boring conversation. But this past year has not been boring at all. I mean, when just when Apple managed to skirt every rule and regulation to get ahead of the line with their de novo in the Apple Watch product, having it classified for fall detection and also for atrial fib, you know, basically cutting everybody else. It's amazing what you can do when you own more of the U.S. treasuries than most small nations do. But they were able to jump ahead and do that. And that really got a lot of people looking at it and going, whoa, is this really the right way to do this? And what kind of claims are they making? And is this really good for public health purposes? Like, for example, one of the questions that came about, and this is a really important question. I mean, this is something that I'm really surprised, I got to say, that the FDA did this. Because imagine that, you know, you're a younger person and you are wearing an Apple Watch. And so you're wearing that Apple Watch and it says that you have atrial fib, but it's not true. You don't. It says that you do because you're younger, and the algorithms that are used to measure atrial fib, they really need to be different on younger people. It's a harder thing to pick up from younger people's heart rates, rather heart profiles. And so let's say now it says that you have atrial fib and you don't. Now you go to the doctor. That's an expensive proposition. You might get a checkup. Is that really lowering healthcare costs? It's a lot different than a product that's targeted for a population that is at risk, where you might be saving not only their life, but you might be saving a tremendous amount of healthcare costs and preventing a stroke. And the two big differences. And so it really has caused the FDA to even question themselves and how fast they did this with that product. And so they're going back and looking over a number of things. One of the things that they've been looking at is in the 510K process. They don't want you to be able to use predicate devices that are older than 10 years. And that kind of makes sense. I mean, you know, it was kind of getting crazy for a while, what people were referring to as predicate devices, and people would mix and match. This is my predicate device. I've got 5 different predicate devices. They each do part of what my device does, and so I'm going to combine them together and like Voltron and make my own device. And that is, those days, those heady days are going to go away. So they've liberalized some aspects of speeding up the market launch of certain types of products, as evidenced by the Apple Watch, but also they are getting a little bit more conservative on the 510K side, I think in a good way. We'll continue to see some major updates from the FDA in 2019. And I tell you, I really think 2019 is going to be a really interesting year for the regulatory environment, especially with respect to wearable devices. So another 2019 prediction here is that biometric devices will truly improve public health at reduced cost. And tell you, there's a lot of support for this. And I'll tell you, I'll be really surprised if this does not happen in 2019 because of the support that you see here in this presentation. There was a big announcement. I thought this was just a huge, huge earth-shattering announcement that John Hancock, the insurer out of Canada, is discounting Apple Watches for policyholders in the Vitality program. What John Hancock has said is that they will no longer back any insurance policies that don't use wearables as part of the policy. That's a big shift. So basically what it is that these insurers have found out that there is a true value proposition in prevention with these wearable devices, because they don't do this unless there's money to be made or money to be saved. And so this means that there's going to be a push all throughout the wearables marketplace and new market opportunities in public health with wearable devices that's actually coordinated through the folks who are paying the bills. Another example here came out of Bloomberg, where they reported of various life insurance companies that are luring Fitbit and Apple Watch users with various different deals and reductions on their insurance. I think you're going to see some stories in 2019 that show just how well this is working and how it's saving money and improving health outcomes. Then also Wearable Technologies talks about had a story reporting about how Humana claims that it's going to use Fitbit Care to assess insurance premiums. So they are going to be using this wearable-based platform to look at what insurance premiums should be. So what we're seeing here, what's exciting about it is, there's not any, there's no there's no real solution. There's no real medical device solutions that are real true solutions unless they also save cost. Because it's kind of the case point where, I mean, the healthcare marketplace is so expensive and it's so costly and it's so, absurdly expensive that any solution that even provides a more positive outcome for somebody, if it costs more, you really wonder if it's worth it in the grand scheme of things. And so all the solutions that can reduce costs and even better improve healthcare at reduced costs, those are the ones that get me the most excited. And because the insurers are backing this means they know it's going to save costs. Another 2019 prediction here is with respect to VR and AR. And we know, of course, we have some inside knowledge in this. We know a lot of VR and AR devices are integrating biometrics into them, and they're exploring how they can take advantage of them. A variety of different use cases where the biometrics are being incorporated. Some of the use cases that we're seeing here with these VR AR solutions include things like, for example, physicians using the virtual reality or altered reality to look at and understand where, say actually mimic a surgery and plan and prepare for a surgery with that technology. We're seeing solutions where companies are putting our biometrics into these devices to help with stress management, where they're using well-known methods that are known to, like extinction methods, known to reduce stress, and then using the biometrics as a way for the biofeedback to enhance that process. A lot of different stress reduction type methodologies. We know that there are companies that are making VR, AR devices to help you sleep, where the biometrics are part of that process, either in monitoring how well you're responding or controlling the dosing. For example, some of these devices might shine different lights at you as you sleep, or provide different sounds, or different types of stimulation that they don't want to overdose. Otherwise, it changes the sleep profile. So you'll be seeing in 2019 a lot more stories of these types of products, because we know more of them are going to be actually hitting the market in 2019. I got to say, I originally thought more of these would hit in 2018. I didn't make that prediction because I knew there was some risk involved. I'm glad I didn't, but I think 2019 you'll see that. Another prediction here is the first biometric hearing aid product will launch in 2019. And what I mean by this is the first hearing aid product that also has a biometric sensor in it for measuring physiological information will launch in 2019. And I think this will be very soon in 2019. It will not be, you will not be waiting towards the end of the year for this, but this will definitely be a huge milestone in the marketplace. And this will set the stage for many other types of products that will be put into hearing aids. And one thing about hearing aids that's pretty interesting is, people have to wear them. They have to wear them to hear. And so one of the big issues of wearables in general is you don't really have to wear them. You don't need to wear a fitness tracker. You don't need to wear a sports tracker. You wear it because you want to wear it, but you don't need to. And so because of that, if you get bored with it or the battery dies, you're more likely to leave it in the sock drawer. And then you're not generating the data that can ultimately be used to provide you greater value. It might be that you need to wear a device for several months to see a trend that's going to save your life. But if you're bored with it, you put it in the sock drawer after a few weeks and you're not generating that data. Well, that is not the case with hearing aids. In the case of hearing aids, you're wearing those suckers 20, as long as you can wear them throughout the day, because you got to, otherwise you can't hear. And so that combination of having to wear the devices affords a lot of opportunities to collect really rich data over a period of time that can really be used to help people with their own unique user-generated data about, here's what we've seen happening with you. This is how you should take action, because we've seen the data, because you've been wearing it consistently, and we've been able to collect that data. And also, as you know, the ear, as I mentioned it several times before, the ear is just a great place, a really great place to measure biometrics. As more you can measure the ear more accurately than you can other places in the body. One thing you will not see in 2019 is medical grade non-invasive glucose monitoring. I made that prediction in 2018. I was right. Some people hate to see this, or hate for me to say it, because I know there's such a huge desire for this, but there's only three things certain in life: death, taxes, and the utter absurdity of truly non-invasive blood glucose monitoring suitable for dosing insulin. I mean, it's that. Can you see increases or decreases in glucose in the blood non-invasively? You can. You can see swings. That's definitely true. There's no doubt about it. But seeing a swing and dosing yourself are two different situations. If you see a swing, I would not tell somebody, okay, now dose yourself this amount of insulin. I'd say, okay, I see a swing here. Go ahead and take a prick, and now find out how much insulin you need. So I'm not saying that it's useless to not measure swings, but what I'm saying is that I would not dose anyone based off a glucose swing. And so when you see more and more of these stories of people announcing this, I've got a blog about this. It's actually really comprehensive and easily written, easy to read, because my reading isn't complex because I can't understand complex reading. But the reality is that I also reference some other articles that are very well written in this area. If anybody ever asks you, or says to you rather, hey, I've got non-invasive glucose monitoring, just ask them what peer-reviewed journal are they published in. And if the answer is none, then you can't trust what they're saying. They may have fooled themselves into thinking they measure glucose. I tell you, several times when we started working on our blood pressure technology, we fooled ourselves into thinking we had it and we didn't, because we tested only certain populations where the people were extremely similar in the habitus, in the physical habitus, or the way we did the testing, we simply just did not get a diversity enough of people in that testing, and a variety of other reasons. And you can really fool yourself if you're not doing the statistics right on this kind of stuff. And I think a lot of folks aren't just being completely dishonest. I think they have something and they just don't know. They tested it on 20 people and they see something that looks like a trend and they just don't know. So key takeaways from this presentation: medical wearables will see accelerated growth in 2019, no question about it. So it's a really exciting time for medical wearables, I got to say. When you consider, it must be really good to be the AliveCor guys who really they kind of started that kick of the medical wearable, and they're seeing it come to a reality. And by medical wearables, I should mention, but medical wearables, I also mean hearing aids as well. It doesn't need to be a wrist or arm or clothing or hearing aid or any particular thing, any form factor that is a wearable form factor. And this trend will be fueled by regulatory changes that lower the barrier to product entry, and also market awareness caused by some of these industry leaders who kind of made the category. Another thing is insurance plans based on data from wearables. They're going to drive market adoption of traditional fitness wearables for public health purposes. So you're going to see, you very well may see, and as a matter of fact, you probably will see, at some point in 2019, your own insurance plan reaching out to you about its wearables opportunities. And also, as I mentioned, the first biometric hearing aid will launch in 2019, and that's just going to set the stage for medical hearables February 4th. All right, that's the end of my presentation, so I'll open it up for any Q&A.
Just a reminder, please do submit your questions through the GoToWebinar panel, and we will take those as they come in. First one that has come in here, and we'll let others submit questions as well while we're going through this one. But Stephen, can you talk a little about the move to OTC hearing aids and hearables and the impact on cost and increased adoption?
Yeah, well, that's a big macro that's happened here. One of the reasons why so many hearing health companies were interested in Valence Cell in 2017 and 2018, early 2018, is because of this big macro where the FDA has, to some extent, not completely, but they have done deregulation on certain aspects of hearing aids. So you can now announce yourself as a hearing enhancement device and not have to go through FDA approval. And the FDA has allowed this now. And now, because this is the case, now a variety of competitors can come in the marketplace and offer these hearing aid solutions at much less cost than what hearing aid companies had been providing in the past. There was a stat I've heard, I believe this is true, but the stat that I heard is that in a person's lifetime, the two biggest expenditures that they make after their house is their car and their hearing aid. And because they're quite expensive devices. And now with the deregulation on some aspects of hearing enhanced devices, now you can buy and acquire some of these devices at much cheaper cost. So now you can imagine if you're trying to differentiate yourself in the marketplace, you've really got to think about it more carefully, because there's a lot more room for competition now than there was in the past. And what you're seeing is a lot of investment now happening in the hearing health side by the big players. And part of it's because of that macro, that fact that the now over-the-counter capability, over-the-counter is enabled now in the United States for some hearing aid devices. Also, another driver though for that is the rising medical costs, and the fact that the payers are really welcoming, lending an ear, so to speak, to the hearing aid folks about, hey, if you can really save me costs by integrating this technology into hearing aids, we're going to go ahead and buy these things.
Good, thank you. So that's the only other question I see coming in so far. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. While we're waiting for other questions to come in, I just wanted to let everyone know Valencell will be at CES coming up in the first full week of January. And there it is. And so if you're going to be there, come see us. We'll also have summaries and wrap-ups, and we'll have a bunch of news coming out of CES that first week of January as well. So look out for all that. But if you're going to be in Vegas along with 175,000 of your closest friends, please do stop by our booth in the Sands Expo. We're right there at the entrance to the Sands Expo on level 2, right in the front of the digital health section. So come see us if you're there, and stay in touch regardless. But I still don't see any other questions coming through at the moment. So you must have covered everything, answered all the questions already. So,
all right.
With that, I think we will go ahead and wrap up. Thanks again, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us here today. We hope this was valuable for you. And please do share with anyone you think may be interested once you see the links to the slides or the recording of the presentation. Thank you, Dr. LeBoeuf, for your time.
All right.
We'll go ahead and wrap it up here. And so have a great day, everyone.
All right. Y'all have a good one.